Hi folks, James Spiro here. I'm speaking to you today from where people are calling a brand new Middle East, here in Israel, reporting on the war between Israel and Iran. I first want to apologize for the delay in this video getting out to you today. I'm having some technical difficulties, but don't worry, we're working hard behind the scenes to get you all of the news coming out of the region. I want to start with what we saw this morning from President Trump. Referring to the undisclosed satellite images, US President Donald Trump claimed that Iran's nuclear sites incurred, quote, monumental damage in last night's nuclear strike committed by the US. Quote, the biggest damage took place far below ground level, he said, likely referring to the underground Fordo site. Now, the Fordo site was one of three nuclear sites that America hit in Iran just yesterday. He also followed up by a strange post from Truth Social that had many MAGA supporters raising their eyebrows. The president already announced a new term, MIGA. That's MIGA. It stood for Make Iran Great Again. He's wondering why the Ayatollah's regime should be allowed to remain unharmed. Now, in a post, he wrote, quote, it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why not regime change? MIGA. Now, of course, many people are unhappy with this because it brings back flashbacks from previous American involvement with the Middle East, promising regime change with disastrous consequences in other countries in the region. So we don't know yet how Donald Trump is going to respond. We don't know what America's involvement is going to be. But already Donald Trump is expressing his desire to see regime change in the region. Following the news of the Iranian attack by the US, oil prices rose by about 2.5% after a massive surge of 4% earlier, as seen in the Asian trade. Oil prices surged in the wake of the US strikes. Brent and the main US crude contract WTI both jumped more than 4%, and they hit their highest prices since January. Then, however, they went down to about 2.4% at $78.83 per barrel, and WTI was up 2.5% at $75.66 per barrel. Now, this is all important to keep in mind because last night Iran had voted to close the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow channel between Iran and Oman, and a choke point for roughly 25% of the world's seaborne oil trade. That's around 20% of all oil movements. So if Iran is to close that strait, that narrow chokehold, it could have drastic implications for the price of oil going forward. Now, Calcalise reported earlier on today that some economists could see the price of oil going up to $100 a barrel. Now, obviously, that's pure speculation at this point, and we haven't seen what's going to happen. We do know that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is behind the scenes trying to prevent all of that from happening. As for the Israeli-Iranian attacks themselves, so that was quite a US-focused look. Let's get down on the ground and see what's been happening here. So Defense Minister Israel Katz says the IDF is currently striking with unprecedented force, regime targets, and government repression bodies in the heart of Tehran. Now, that message came out earlier on in this on the day. This is June 23rd. It came out early in the morning, Israel time. At first, we weren't quite sure what he meant by that. But soon after, unverified videos started appearing on social media of what appeared to be the Tehran Power Distribution Company getting hit with an Israeli strike. He said in a statement, quote, for every missile fired at the Israeli home front, the Iranian dictator will be severely punished and the strikes will continue with full intensity. Now, he wasn't wrong. The strikes carried on coming, and we saw more and more things getting destroyed in Tehran and Iran throughout the day. One of them was the prison holding dissents, activists, journalists, politicians. The prison that was hit overnight was part of this unprecedented attack, the Evin prison. It was holds many prisoners who dare speak out against the Iranian regime. So the IDF bombed the entrance to that prison. So who knows what's going to happen from there. It also bombed a symbolic doomsday clock located in what it calls Palestinian Square in Tehran. They had a symbolic doom clock going until the year 2040 that was supposed to represent the end of Israel and the Zionist regime. So Israel just flat out went and destroyed that. That's more of a symbolic gesture in wartime, but still a powerful one nonetheless. As for on the ground here in Israel, I'm currently located in the north somewhere around the Sea of Galilee. We are getting sirens every single day, but we're not necessarily the targets of those sirens. So what we're getting is a lot of shrapnel that comes during the interceptions, or we're not getting at all. So we're quite lucky where we are. This morning, around 6 to 7 missiles were launched from Iran across 4 waves. So far fewer missiles than the start of this attack, where we were seeing dozens and scores of missiles all taking place in minutes. So these were 6 to 7 missiles. They were fired over a 40-minute period. At the time that I'm recording this, there are no reports of injuries, although there were several impacts in open areas. As for the damage itself that's being caused by this ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran, we're getting some numbers today that within just 1 week, the property damage from Operation Rising Line, that's the current operation taking place now in Iran, is twice that of Iron Swords from October 7. I'll say that again. The property damage incurred in Operation Rising Line this week is double that of Operation Iron Swords from October 7. The director of the Compensation Fund, Amir Dahan, said even if the war ended tomorrow, the country would reach 50,000 claims. The damage is expected to reach about 5 billion shekels in property damage. That's twice as much already that's been recorded since the start of October 7, 18 months ago. He went on to explain that the unusualness of the current operation is reflected in the number of buildings that were destroyed because, quote, usually the direct damage is much smaller. Since October 7, one building in Haifa has been destroyed, but in the last week, 25 buildings have been destroyed. So the sheer scale of the damage is unprecedented in this country, and we're starting to see the real costs come in. Finally, I just want to end on some positive news, which is as of today, the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange has actually outpaced Wall Street in 2025. So the American bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities have triggered actually a wave of optimism in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, setting the stage for days upon days of gains. So the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange has been seeing gains anyway, but we're just seeing more and more and more. Investors woke up on Sunday morning to the news of the attack. Markets surged. US involvement in the conflict would speed up the elimination of what many perceive is Israel's existential threat that's coming from Iran. So what we're seeing is more optimism in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. We're seeing the shekel rising. The dollar is now below 3.47 shekels. The euro is at 3.98. So the shekel is getting stronger. Tel Aviv stocks are rising. So there is a wave of optimism here in Israel, especially since America became involved in the conflict with Iran. So just wanted to end on some positivity as we complete this daily broadcast. I do want to say that I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with a different camera. We are working behind the scenes to get a new camera going. I know that I look a bit granulated here. My color's a bit off. That's because this is my fourth location in, I think, 8 days. So we are constantly on the move. But don't worry, we are going to hopefully get some more equipment tomorrow, and I will see you then a bit earlier than today. Today was a bit delayed. I do apologize, but stay safe and have a quiet night. Thank you.